Hey friends, welcome back. So, I hope everyone had happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. It's here at the end of December. We got a couple more days left, and I'm doing another budget-based video for the month of December. So if you're interested in what it will cost you roughly, give or take, depending on your lifestyle and what you like to do, this one might be one to check out if you plan on hanging out in Quartzsite for the winter. Let's go. All right, friends, so I did a video for my November budget, which also included me driving down, and I posted it, and it actually did really well. I got a bunch of comments on it, that kind of thing. Kind of blew my mind, to be honest. But I did forget a couple things. I forgot my insurance on my truck because I paid that a one-time fee in April, and I kind of slipped my mind, and for some reason I forgot about the fee at the LTVA here. Say that 10 times fast. LTVA here, which is $180, and then depending on how long you stay, you kind of divvy that up across the months, and that will be your monthly rent, so to speak, for your spot at the LTVA in Quartzsite, Arizona. So we'll get to those in the budget. The main idea for this video was to basically show a kind of a general budget of just once you're here, you're hanging out, what does your month look like? Well, my month was looking pretty good, and then just before the holidays, to be blunt, I got a punch in the face and a kick in the nuts. So those will be talked about a bit later when we get down to the brass tacks of the numbers. But yeah, what was supposed to be a relaxing kind of fairly low cost month, yeah, not so much. As the joke goes, if you make $2,000 a month and you're paying $3,000 a month, what do you have? You have an RV. So we'll get to that. A couple more days left. Probably going in for a little, like just a small 1 or 2 bag grocery run tomorrow. That will be kind of like the feather in the cap. We'll be done. And from there, I will tally everything up. We'll talk about the shit show that came just before the holidays, and yeah, you'll be all up to date. All right, so we'll see you in a few. All right.
A few moments later.
Hey friends, welcome back and Happy New Year. Hopefully your 2025 will be as good, if not better, than your 2024. My 2024 was actually pretty good, so I'm hoping 2025 will be good, but I got a little bit of news that I'm not too psyched about, but we'll see how it goes. Things can always change, right? So this is the math portion of this video, basically where I run down all the expenses for a pretty chill month here in Quartzsite, Arizona. So I'm down for the winter, and my previous video I included the whole drive down, gas expenses, that kind of thing, and a few of my viewers actually pointed out a few things that I actually forgot, mainly because they are kind of one-off things that I pay for the full year, and I totally forgot to include them. One of them being my auto insurance. So basically, I have insurance on the truck. I think I mentioned this in the intro part, but I have insurance on the truck, not on the trailer, but the trailer is covered while it's on the truck. I also forgot to mention the LTVA permit, the long-term visitors area permit here in Quartzsite. If you were to come down at the end of September, you would have it for, I think it's just over 6 months. I did not come down that early. I got here just basically the start of November, so the permit cost I've divvied up across 5.5 months. With that in mind, we'll get to it, and I'll try to remember to include everything. And again, I'm going to break it down into US dollars, and Canadian dollars based on, now keep in mind this is strictly based on today's currency exchange. So if you did the math tomorrow, it would probably be different. If you do it next week or 2 months from now, it's going to be slightly different. Right now the Canadian dollar is sucking, but what do you do? If you want to be warm in the winter and not be in the snow, this is the price we pay. So yeah, like I said, this is a pretty chill month here. Like, I didn't do a lot. I did go out a couple times, hanging out with friends, that kind of thing, but I didn't go driving a lot. My gas expense on this basically is like I still have like 3/4 of a tank. The only driving I've really done is into town a few times, that kind of thing. Obviously there's things like propane. I did get a couple things, some pet meds I renewed for the year. I got a whole year's supply. Basically flea and tick meds for Rollins, and his heart guard. He doesn't really need it out here or even at home, but I still get it for him. It's preventative for heartworm, because he is from Texas originally. That's where his rescue was. So they had him on it, and I just kept him on it. So, you know. Anyways, to address the first thing that I was reminded I forgot in the last video, auto insurance. So if I were to break it down into US dollars, it's $980.01 for the year. And that comes to what I paid in Canadian, which was $14.11 Canadian. And I pay that all in one shot in April, and that covers me for the year. Now, if I break that up over 12 months, which I did for the total, basically it's $81.67 US a month, or $117.58 Canadian a month. So that covers the truck insurance. Now, the LTVA permit is $180 US. I think they take check or cash. They don't have machines or anything at the booth. So that comes to, well, at today's currency rate, $259.16 Canadian for the season. Now, like I said, I'm only going to be here for about 5.5 months. So breaking that down comes to about $32.72 US per month and $47.11 Canadian per month. Now, another thing I did forget in my previous video was my cell phone plan. It runs me about $95 Canadian, which comes to $65.98 US. That has Canadian, US calling, roaming down here. Like, I'm not paying any extra for roaming or anything like that. So that has, basically, it has me covered, and it's also my backup in case Starlink, there's a glitch or something and I have like work to do or whatever. I can still tap into that. Groceries. Now, I did go into Walmart earlier in the month and stock up on a bunch of stuff, and it did come to a little bit more than what I'm including here, but because half of the things that I bought were basically because I was stocking up, like ketchup, mayo, some of the meat I bought. There's, like, I have like a big bag of French fries, you know, like that kind of thing. They're all still in the freezer, like half the meat's still there. So I basically broke that up into two and then added a few small grocery stops here for fresh stuff like lettuce and tomatoes, that kind of thing that I bought. So groceries, $242.90 US dollars, and came to about $349.72 Canadian dollars. And then, of course, we have propane. 2 propane bottles? Yeah. I did 2 stops, $47.42 US, $68.27 Canadian. Gas, like I said, haven't really gone very far, but I did fill up, and this also includes a couple of the 5-gallon jugs of mid-grade for the generator. So gas comes to $99.01 US, which is $142 Canadian, $142.55 Canadian. Now, a couple times I went out. I went to the Outback. They have great pizza if you're in Quartzsite and want to check out a pizza. Pretty good pizza there. We also have friends that go out and play there on Friday nights. So I did go a couple times. The first time I just had a beer, hung around for a little bit and came home. And then the second time I had pizza and beer. And then I think I hit Carl's Jr. once during the month, just as a treat. that came to $58.85 US, which converts to $84.73 Canadian. On top of that, since it's kind of related to entertainment, I tallied up all my Netflix. So I have Netflix, I have Amazon Prime, which also includes the video, and then I also have the ad-free version of YouTube, because I can't stand watching the ads, which is ironic because I'm a YouTuber and that's where the income comes from if you're trying to make money on YouTube. But I'd just rather pay the fee, be done with it. So those three things, and I think that's it. $76.02 US, $109.45 Canadian. Now, in order to see Netflix and all that, and to work, I need internet, which I use Starlink for. Starlink is $138.07 US, and my bill is $198.45 Canadian. Next up is work software. So if you watch my previous video on Adobe, you know that I've dropped the whole Creative Suite except for the photography bundle. So with the photography bundle and my Figma subscription for work, that's the design software I use for work, it comes to $40.75 US, which is $58.67 Canadian. So next up is that one-off extra expense for the pet meds. So I ordered a year. I get them online at Sierra Pet Meds. I'd recommend them. Don't have a affiliate link or anything like that. I should actually look into that, but that's who I use. And for a year of, like I said, he's on a flea and tick, and then the Heart Guard for heartworm, $198.23 US for the year. That's 12 doses of both. So that comes to $273.89 Canadian, but if you break it down monthly, it's $15.85 US a month, or $22.82 Canadian. Now that's pretty much everything for what I'm going to call the normal monthly total. Now in the intro, I mentioned that I basically got a kick in the face and a kick in the nuts. Coming up is the kick in the face. Yeah, but let's tally this up first and then we'll get to that. So the normal total, like just hanging out here in the desert, normal monthly expenses like I ran through. I didn't add in everything, like I said, that I've paid for the year. So even the pet meds, I'm only including the monthly fee, and the insurance, I'm only including the per month fee. So normal total for the month, $904.24 US dollars, which comes to $1301.90 Canadian. So basically, to be out here as a Canadian, it's cost me $1,300 plus what's coming up next. So the next part of this video is basically the epitome of RV life when you're living full-time in an RV. You know, whether you go north to south like I have been the last little bit, or you travel around, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. I did all my due diligence last year, new springs on the trailer, added an extra beefier axle. Then before even leaving here, I ended up buying new wheels and new tires all the way around. Got everything checked, the bearings checked, everything was good, that kind of thing. So you think, okay, well, you know, you're pretty good. Things are going well. And then someone winds up and kicks you square in the nuts. Middle of December, I open my fridge door and things aren't as cold as they should be. And then I realize, okay, it's not running. So I go around and back and I check the propane, and got propane, and it's firing up, and then it fires up and it's running. I'm like, okay, so maybe it's just a glitch, some, you know, air in the propane line, or I don't know. I'm not mechanically inclined as far as this stuff goes. But anyways, it starts running. So I leave it overnight, and it's running. And it's running. And it's running. So I don't know what the hell's going on. It's running, but it's not cold. It's actually getting warmer. So I asked my friend Roy here, who's a veteran at all this stuff, and he goes, well, let me come over and we'll look. So he comes over, and at the bottom of the burner, like where the burner is, we took the little panel off, and the pipes that go into the cooling unit are all encrusted in this yellow crystallized gunk. Yep. Cooling unit in the fridge is gone. Meanwhile, like you have to understand, meanwhile, I have, like I said, I went to Walmart and stocked up a bunch of stuff. I have like a freezer full of stuff, mainly meat. The fridge is like 3/4 full. And I'm like, what the, right? So, okay. So I go to RV Lifestyles, which is the big RV shop here in Quartzsite. And I went up to the service counter, told him what's going on, what my options were. And he says, well, you could try and replace the cooling unit, but A, parts might be hard to find because my trailer is a 95. And B, at that point, like, you know, what do you want to do? You know, like you might replace that and then there might be something else wrong, that kind of thing. It was working fine up until that point, but that thing was definitely shot because it was, you know, it was leaking that stuff. The ammonia, I guess it is, that's inside the cooling unit was leaking all over the place. So I said, okay, well, am I even going to be able to find a new one? And he said, well, you know, what's the model number? And I noted the model number before I went in. So, long story short, gave him the model number. He said, okay, well, Norcold makes a new version. He goes, it's actually an 1/8 of an inch, different size-wise, so it should fit okay. And I can order one and have it here by Wednesday. Now, this was a Monday morning. And I'm like, okay, not really sure what I'm going to do with everything for 2 days. But, so I thought about it for a split second. I'm like, well, I can go back and I can spend the afternoon online looking for A, a used one, B, a new one. And if they're not here in Quartzsite, then they got to come from somewhere. Maybe in Yuma. Okay, so say I find one in Yuma, I drive down there to pick it up, drive back, you know, give or take, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, and while I'm kind of pondering it, he goes, actually, I have one of these in stock. He goes, I just looked it up to see if we had any other like vendors or whatever that carried them, or, you know, where the closest one was, and he had one in stock. And I kind of thought for a split second, I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. So I pulled the trigger on a brand new fridge. And I do not regret it. Although it was a pain in the ass because the connection was different and stuff like that, which I'll get to in a second. So basically, on top of my monthly budget for just chilling out in the desert, I bought a new fridge. $2,178.70 US, which came to, on my credit card, granted. So there's the exchange, which is ridiculous on credit cards. The credit card I just paid off. So anyway, that came to $3,136.84 on my credit card. Then we get it back, and the line that comes in from the trailer and the line that comes out of the fridge do not match up. Like, it has to come around because it comes in from this side, but the one from the fridge the old fridge came in this way, and they just connected like that. The new fridge, both come in from the right. So I had to figure out how to get that line around. We tried bending it a little bit, which just made things worse because it's just that copper tubing just crimps up and whatever. So back into town I went and spent another $79.46 on tools and parts, which came to another $114.60 for flex hose, connectors, flaring tool, copper pipe cutting tool. Yes, there's probably ways to do it, but I wanted to try and do it, and, you know, the tools are good to have for future use as a full-time RVer. So, bit the bullet, bought the tools. So that brought my total up a bit. So my grand total for the month, including the fridge, $3,162.40 US and $4,553.14 Canadian. Like I said, most of that is on my credit card, which will be paid off over the months to come. Hopefully. Now, I say hopefully because, as I mentioned in the intro of this video, I got a kick in the face and then a kick in the nuts. Well, The latter of those is just before the holidays. I talked to my one major client, and they're going to be slowing down possibly for the whole year of 2025. Long story short, they're transitioning their content management system, which I build designs for new clients when they onboard them to the content management system. They're transitioning from version 1 to version 2. All the current clients are going to be transitioned on to version 2 throughout the year, and they're not sure they want to be onboarding new clients to the new version, and apparently they don't want to be onboarding them to the first version either. I was more like, well, wouldn't it make sense to onboard new clients, put them on the first version at the back of the queue? Because at least then you have a revenue stream coming in, and as you transition the current clients over to version 2, leaving the new clients at the back of the line, by the time you go to transfer them to version 2, it could be like this time next year or 2026 into 2026. My immediate boss is basically, he's kind of middle management, and he said, well, that makes sense to you and me, but we're not in charge. So I'm possibly looking at a pretty slow year. Now, I'm not panicking yet. He did ask if I'm still open to smaller things, smaller projects, whatever they bring in, that kind of thing, which I am, of course. And basically just kind of waiting to see. I mean, things can change. He didn't say like none of this is cut in stone yet. They're that's kind of like the general vibe that they're leaning into. What they decide to do in the end is could be different. Could be back to normal in 2 months. I don't know. But right now it's been pretty slow, and it looks like it might still be fairly slow into the spring. But I still have a couple other clients. I am working on a deal possibly to build a website for someone out of Nevada, and that could be pretty lucrative because their website that they want to build is not small, so that could help. And yeah, we'll go from there. So all in all, there's a basic rundown of a semi-normal month here in Quartzsite during Snowbird season, just hanging out and hanging out with some friends and taking the dog for a walk in the desert and working, doing stuff. I still got tons of my own stuff to work on, so it's not like I'm like sitting around twiddling my thumbs. I'm working on getting my t-shirt shop back up. I have the Etsy store, but the t-shirt shop's been down for a while, so that's my first goal, is to get that up and running and some new designs in there. I'm kind of getting the swing of that and keep kind of adding to things. But yeah, overall, that will give you a general idea of while you're sitting around in the desert or just enjoying the quiet and the sun and the warmth and that kind of thing. If you're from Canada, you kind of have a general idea of what to expect. So yeah, there you have it. All in all, semi-normal average budget for, I'm a single guy with a dog, so take that for what it's worth, but it gives you a bit of a reference, maybe a starting point for adjusting your budget or figuring out what it might cost you to do this. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Like I said, Happy New Year to everyone. Hopefully everybody had great holidays, and hopefully 2025 is better than 2024 for everyone. And on that note, I think I'll chime out. So cheers and have a good one. Bye-bye.